Aldous Huxley once wrote, "The more consciously we try to do something, the lower our chances of success. Wisdom and results only come to those who understand the paradoxical art of doing and not doing, of activity and rest." Our psyche is fundamentally paradoxical. When we intentionally create a state of mind, another state emerges, often opposite to the desired one. When it comes to these existential, abstract, lofty goals, our mind is like a dog. After a lifetime of chasing smaller creatures, it turns around and decides to chase its own tail. This seems logical from the dog's perspective. After all, it has caught many things through chasing, but a dog can never catch its own tail. The more it chases, the more the tail eludes it. This is because the dog lacks the perspective to realize that it and its tail are one. The goal is to make your mind, which has spent a lifetime chasing various things, realize that it should stop chasing its own tail. Stop pursuing meaning, freedom, and happiness because this only pushes them further away. Teach your mind to achieve what it desires by letting go of those very things, showing it that the only way to rise is to sink. And how do we do this? By accepting, surrendering, and yielding, not from weakness but from respect for what is beyond our control. By realizing that we are fragile, finite, and just temporary specks in infinite time. By giving up control, not because we feel powerless, but because we are powerful. You decide to let go of things beyond your control. You decide to accept that sometimes people won't like you, that there will be times of failure, that often you don't know what you're doing. You sink into fear and uncertainty. And just when you think you're about to drown, right when you hit the bottom, it brings you back to your salvation. Control. In our quest for control, particularly as men in the age bracket of 30 to 65, we often find ourselves grappling with the paradox of effort and surrender. This concept, known as the backwards law, suggests that the more we strive to control our emotions and impulses, the more they seem to elude us. Our emotional landscape is inherently complex and unpredictable, and our attempts to dominate these aspects of our being often lead to a sense of powerlessness. This struggle is akin to trying to calm the ocean waves by grasping them. The more we grasp, the more the water slips through our fingers. However, there's profound wisdom in embracing a different approach, one that aligns closely with the Stoic philosophy. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This perspective encourages us to accept our emotions and impulses as they are, without resistance or judgment. In doing so, we find that we're better equipped to guide and manage them. It's like sailing. We cannot control the wind, but we can adjust our sails. Imagine a river flowing effortlessly around rocks and through valleys. It does not fight against the obstacles in its path, it simply flows around them. This metaphor beautifully encapsulates the essence of the backwards law. By accepting the fluid nature of our emotions and impulses, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, thus gaining a sense of control that is grounded in understanding and acceptance, rather than force. In our modern lives, this principle can be incredibly liberating. It teaches us that in the pursuit of emotional stability and control, the most effective strategy is often to let go of the struggle for dominance and instead embrace a stance of acceptance and understanding. This approach not only brings inner peace but also empowers us to navigate our emotions with wisdom and resilience. The key is not in the forceful suppression of what we feel, but in the gentle acknowledgement and management of our inner world. This wisdom, deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, offers a timeless and practical guide for men learning to balance the complexities of modern life with the serenity of an enlightened mind. Freedom. In our journey through life, we often find ourselves entangled in the paradoxical quest for freedom. This pursuit, while seemingly liberating, can ironically become a binding chain, limiting our true potential. The essence of this conundrum is beautifully encapsulated in the concept of the backwards law, a principle suggesting that the more we chase after something, the more it eludes us. This is particularly true in our quest for freedom. Consider the story of a bird free to fly anywhere, yet it finds solace and security within its nest. This allegory mirrors our own lives. By setting boundaries and making deliberate choices, we paradoxically enhance our freedom. It's not the boundless expanse of the sky that grants the bird its freedom, but its ability to choose where to fly and where to rest. Similarly, when we choose and commit to certain paths in life, whether it's a career, a relationship, or a personal goal, we are not restricting our freedom but rather defining and understanding it more deeply. This concept is akin to the teachings of Stoicism, where freedom is found not in external circumstances but in our internal responses and choices. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." This resonates with the idea that by focusing on what we can control and letting go of the uncontrollable, we attain true freedom. To further illustrate this, imagine a sailor navigating the vast ocean. The sailor doesn't have control over the sea, the weather, or the wind, but he finds freedom in how he sets his sail and chooses his direction. His freedom lies in his response to the elements, not in attempting to control them. In conclusion, the lesson for us is profound yet simple. Stop trying to grasp freedom as an elusive external entity. Instead, recognize that true freedom lies within the choices and commitments we make. It's in the acceptance of certain limitations and the focus on what's within our control. By embracing this mindset, we can navigate life with a sense of purpose and clarity, finding freedom not in the absence of boundaries, but in the mindful embrace of them. This understanding can profoundly transform our approach to life, leading to a more fulfilling and liberated existence. Happiness. Stop trying to get it and you'll have it. This concept, intriguing in its simplicity, suggests that the more we chase after happiness, the more it seems to elude us. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. The more desperately we grasp, the quicker it flutters away. But when we sit still, it may just land softly on our shoulder. This idea echoes the words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Let's explore this through a story. Imagine a person who spends their entire life in pursuit of happiness. They chase after every pleasure, avoid every discomfort, and yet, happiness remains a fleeting shadow, always just out of reach. This relentless pursuit becomes their suffering. Now picture another individual who accepts life's ups and downs with equanimity. They find contentment not in the absence of trouble, but in their ability to navigate through it. This acceptance, this surrender to the flow of life, ironically, brings them the happiness the first person so desperately seeks. This concept is not about giving up on happiness, but rather understanding that the path to it is not through relentless pursuit, but through acceptance and resilience. It's about finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. It's about embracing life's challenges, knowing that they shape us, and in that shaping we find our true contentment. So, dear listener, as you navigate through your day, remember that sometimes the best way to find what you're looking for is to stop looking so hard. Let go of the constant striving and allow happiness to find you. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus advised, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. In embracing this philosophy, we find a serene acceptance of life as it is, not as we think it should be. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It's an active engagement with life, but without the frantic need for control. It's about being present in the moment, appreciating the now, and understanding that sometimes the things we most desire come to us when we're not actively seeking them. This, my friends, is the essence of the backwards law, a principle that can lead us to a deeper, more genuine form of happiness. Safety. In the pursuit of safety, we often find ourselves entangled in a paradoxical web. The harder we strive to secure our lives, the more elusive that sense of security becomes. This is reminiscent of the ancient Stoic philosophy, where Epictetus once said, "Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of one's desires, but by the removal of desire." In this context, the desire is for absolute safety, a fortress of certainty in an inherently uncertain world. The Stoics teach us that the only true safety lies in embracing uncertainty. When we accept that life is a flux of both predictable and unpredictable events, we begin to find peace. This peace is not the absence of danger or uncertainty, but the calm acceptance of it. It's akin to a sailor who doesn't wish for a calm sea but takes pride in navigating the tumultuous waters skillfully. In modern life, this translates to understanding that job security, health, and relationships, while important, are not entirely within our control. Clinging too tightly to these aspects can lead to a constant state of anxiety and insecurity. Instead, by focusing on our responses and attitudes towards these elements, we gain a more profound sense of control and peace. The lesson here is counterintuitive, yet powerful. By letting go of the incessant need to make ourselves feel safe, we open the door to a more serene and resilient existence. This doesn't mean neglecting prudent measures for safety and well-being, but recognizing the limits of our control. It's about finding balance, where preparation meets acceptance and where effort aligns with surrender. In conclusion, the path to true safety and peace lies not in fortifying every aspect of our lives against uncertainty, but in developing the inner strength to face life's inherent unpredictability with calmness and courage. This is the essence of the backwards law, a principle that guides us to find what we seek, not by grasping tighter, but by letting go. Love. In our journey through life, we often find ourselves entangled in the pursuit of love and acceptance from others. This relentless quest, however, can lead us down a paradoxical path, as eloquently captured in the concept of the backwards law. The essence of this law suggests that the more we strive for something, the more it eludes us. In the realm of love, this principle manifests profoundly. When we excessively seek love and validation from those around us, we inadvertently push it away. This phenomenon is not just about the external pursuit but also reflects an internal struggle. The irony lies in the fact that in our desperation to be loved by others, we often neglect the most crucial aspect: self-love and self-acceptance. This concept can be likened to a butterfly. A butterfly, with its delicate wings and ethereal beauty, is often chased by those who wish to capture its essence. However, the more one chases, the more elusive it becomes. It is only when one sits still, in quiet appreciation and without expectation, that the butterfly may come and rest upon their shoulder. Similarly, love and acceptance work in mysterious ways. When we stop the frantic chase and start focusing on nurturing our inner selves, embracing our flaws and strengths alike, love finds its way to us in its most genuine form. The story of the ancient philosopher Diogenes illustrates this beautifully. Diogenes, known for his unconventional wisdom, once roamed the streets with a lantern in broad daylight. When asked what he was seeking, he replied, "I am looking for an honest man." This allegory highlights the futility of desperately searching for something that must come naturally. Just as Diogenes' search was in vain, so is our pursuit of love and acceptance when it is forced or artificial. In the context of modern life, this principle is highly relevant. We live in a world where social media often dictates our sense of self-worth and belonging. The constant need to be liked, followed, and validated by others can lead to a never-ending cycle of dissatisfaction. The key to breaking this cycle is to cultivate a sense of self-worth that is independent of external validation. This involves embracing our authentic selves, with all our imperfections, and understanding that true acceptance comes from within. To apply this wisdom in our daily lives, we must start by practicing self-compassion and mindfulness. By being present in the moment and acknowledging our thoughts and feelings without judgment, we can foster a deeper connection with ourselves. This self-connection paves the way for genuine relationships with others as we become more accepting and less needy of external validation. In conclusion, the backwards law teaches us a valuable lesson about love and acceptance. The paradox that the more we chase after these, the more they seem to evade us, serves as a reminder to shift our focus inward. By cultivating self-love and acceptance, we create a foundation for genuine connections with others, The journey to understanding and applying this principle may not be easy, but it is undoubtedly rewarding. As we embark on this path, let us remember that in the art of letting go, we often find what we were searching for all along. Respect. When the more we chase after respect, demanding it from others, the more elusive it becomes. It's like trying to catch a butterfly with bare hands. The harder we try, the faster it flutters away. Yet when we shift our focus, extending respect to others, something remarkable happens. Respect, like a gentle butterfly, comes to rest upon us, almost effortlessly. This idea is not just a modern notion, but finds its roots in ancient Stoic philosophy. Seneca, a renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." This quote resonates with our topic today. Often, our intense desire for respect stems from a fear of being undervalued or ignored. But in reality, the respect we crave is usually within our grasp, not through demanding it, but through embodying it. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this beautifully. There was once a wise old man known for his serenity and wisdom. People from far and wide would come to seek his advice. One day, a young man approached him, frustrated and angry, complaining that no one respected him. The wise man listened patiently and then asked the young man to pour tea into a cup. The young man did so, but he kept pouring, even after the cup was full, spilling tea everywhere. The wise man then said, "Like this cup, you are so full of your own opinions and desire for respect that there's no room for anything else. Empty your cup, and you will find what you seek." This story is a metaphor for our lives. When we empty our cup of ego and the relentless pursuit of respect, we make room for humility and genuine connections with others. By showing respect, we invite it back into our lives. It's a cycle of positivity that begins with us. So, dear listeners, as we navigate through the complexities of life, let's embrace this backwards law. Let's focus on respecting others, understanding their perspectives, and showing kindness without expecting anything in return. In doing so, we embody the true essence of Stoicism, finding respect and fulfillment not in the clamor of demands but in the quiet grace of giving. Remember, in the words of Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. By being a beacon of respect, we not only enrich our lives but also light the way for others. Trust in the paradox of effort. In the intricate dance of human relationships, trust emerges as a pivotal, yet often elusive element. It's akin to a delicate wisp of smoke that, when grasped too tightly, vanishes between our fingers. The paradox here is profound yet simple. The more we strive to make others trust us, the more they may retreat. This phenomenon, known as the backwards law, suggests that in our earnest attempts to secure trust, we inadvertently erect barriers. Consider the story of the Zen master who, when asked how to achieve enlightenment, simply said, "Let go." In this narrative lies a metaphor for trust. By relinquishing our grip, by not trying too hard, we create a space where trust can flourish naturally. It's a concept that echoes the Stoic philosophy, where Seneca once remarked, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This sentiment resonates deeply with the essence of trust. It's about being present in our interactions, free from the burden of overbearing expectations. Expanding on this, it's crucial to understand that trust is a two-way street. The more trust we extend to others, the more we are likely to receive. It's not merely about being trustworthy, but also about showing trust in others. This mutual exchange fosters a deeper connection and understanding, essential in any relationship, be it personal or professional. In our modern lives, where authenticity is often masked by digital personas, this principle of trust becomes even more significant. We must learn to navigate through the noise, to discern and appreciate the genuine over the superficial. The advice here is not to abandon caution, but to balance it with openness. By doing so, we invite an authentic exchange where trust is not demanded but gracefully earned. In conclusion, trust, much like happiness, is often found when we stop directly pursuing it. It's about creating an environment where trust can grow organically, nurtured by our genuine interactions and the willingness to be vulnerable. As we navigate through the complexities of life, let us remember that sometimes, by not trying too hard, we achieve what we desire most. Confidence. In our journey through life, we often find ourselves caught in the paradoxical pursuit of confidence, a concept beautifully encapsulated in the backwards law. This law suggests that the more we chase after a feeling or state, the more it eludes us. It's akin to trying to grasp water. The harder we squeeze, the faster it slips through our fingers. This is particularly true when it comes to confidence. The irony of confidence is that the more we desperately seek it, the more it seems to evade us, leaving in its wake feelings of anxiety and insecurity. Consider the story of the ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca, who once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Seneca's wisdom resonates deeply with the backwards law. He teaches us that the key to confidence is not in the relentless pursuit of it, but rather in embracing and accepting our current state, including our faults and imperfections. This acceptance creates a paradoxical effect where we become more comfortable with ourselves, and as a result, naturally more confident. This concept is further illustrated in the allegory of the Chinese farmer, popularized by Alan Watts. The farmer's equanimity in the face of fluctuating fortunes, neither overly joyous in success nor despairing in misfortune, exemplifies the Stoic ideal of tranquility. His story teaches us that by not clinging to a specific outcome or state, we attain a natural state of confidence that is not forced or fabricated. In essence, the pursuit of confidence is a journey of letting go. It's about shedding the layers of expectation and anxiety that we often wrap ourselves in. When we stop trying to mold ourselves into a version that we think is confident, we allow our true confidence to surface. This is a confidence that is not loud or boastful, but quiet, steady, and resilient. For our audience at Stoic In Your Life, the lesson here is profound yet simple. Embrace your imperfections, live in the present, and let go of the incessant need to feel confident. In doing so, you will find that confidence will come to you naturally and effortlessly. This approach to confidence is not only more sustainable, but also deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, offering a serene path to genuine self-assurance. Remember, in the wise words of Seneca, it is in enjoying the present and accepting ourselves as we are that we find true confidence and, ultimately, happiness. Change. When the more you strive to change who you are, the more you're confronted with a sense of inadequacy. It's like chasing the horizon. No matter how fast you run, it always seems just out of reach. This relentless pursuit can leave you feeling perpetually unfulfilled, always seeking the next big thing that will finally make you feel complete. But here's the twist in the tale. When you shift your focus from trying to change yourself to simply accepting who you are, something magical happens. You start to grow and progress in ways you never imagined. It's not because you're no longer interested in improvement, but because your energy is now channeled into doing things that genuinely interest and engage you. You're no longer bogged down by the weight of your own expectations. Instead, you're free to explore, to experiment, and to experience life in its fullness. This idea is beautifully encapsulated in a quote from the Stoic philosopher Seneca. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. It's about finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. When you're not constantly fixated on what you need to become, you start appreciating who you are and what you're doing right now. This acceptance doesn't mean you've given up on growth. Rather, it's a recognition that growth is a natural byproduct of living authentically and embracing your current self. So as you listen to this, consider the possibility that the key to personal growth and fulfillment might just lie in the gentle art of self-acceptance. Embrace who you are at this moment. Engage deeply with your current pursuits and let growth be a natural, unforced consequence of your authenticity. Remember, sometimes the best way to achieve what you're striving for is to stop trying so hard and start living more fully. Meaning. In the quest for meaning, a paradox often emerges. reminiscent of the ancient Stoic wisdom. He who seeks freedom for anything but freedom's own sake is bound to find chains. The more fervently we chase after profound significance in our lives, the more we risk becoming entangled in an obsession that ironically leads us away from the very depth we seek. This pursuit, while noble in its intent, can paradoxically render our approach to life more superficial. Consider the story of the fisherman and the businessman, where the simple life of the fisherman, content with his daily catch, contrasts sharply with the businessman's relentless pursuit of more. The fisherman, without striving for grandeur, embodies a profound sense of purpose and satisfaction, a testament to the backwards law in action. Similarly, when we endeavor to infuse others' lives with meaning, the impact on our own lives is magnified. This act of giving, often unadorned and humble, can lead to a deeper understanding and connection with the essence of our existence. In modern life, where the chase for success and recognition often overshadows the pursuit of genuine contentment, it's vital to remember that sometimes by not trying so hard to grasp the intangible, we allow it to come to us in its purest form. The advice here is simple yet profound. Slow down, appreciate the present, and let the pursuit of meaning be a journey rather than a destination. By doing so, we might find that the meaning we were so desperately seeking was always there, subtly woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Imagine you're trying not to think of a pink elephant. The moment this peculiar creature pops into your mind, it becomes nearly impossible to banish it simply by willing it away. The harder you try, the more stubbornly it lingers. This analogy is often used to illustrate the futility of forcefully dispelling intrusive thoughts. Let's extend this metaphor to our life's dissatisfactions. Picture the pink elephant as a symbol of our general discontent, which might show up as sadness, distress, anger, or boredom. Here's the irony. The more effort we put into feeling, less dissatisfied. The more dissatisfaction seems to grow. This brings us to an intriguing question. Is our intensive focus on escaping dissatisfaction, our constant striving for happiness and contentment, actually the root cause of our unhappiness? This concept introduces us to the paradox of willpower, underpinning what philosopher Alan Watts called the backwards law, or the law of reversed effort. To understand this better, consider the story of a Chinese farmer from an ancient Taoist parable. One day, his horse runs away, and his neighbors lament his bad luck. The farmer simply responds, "We'll see." The next day, the horse returns with several wild horses, and the neighbors celebrate his good fortune. Again, the farmer says, "We'll see." Later, his son breaks a leg trying to tame one of the wild horses, and the neighbors express their sympathies. The farmer maintains his stance. "We'll see." Finally, when the army passes through, conscripting young men for war, the son is spared due to his injury, which the neighbors now deem lucky. Throughout these events, the farmer's detachment from immediate judgments of good or bad illustrates the essence of the backwards law. This story teaches us a valuable lesson about life. When we fixate on achieving a specific outcome or state of being, we often end up further from our goal. It's like trying to fall asleep. The more you worry about needing to sleep, the more elusive sleep becomes. Instead of relentlessly pursuing happiness or contentment, we should focus on accepting our current state and letting go of the struggle. By doing so, we might just find that happiness and contentment naturally find their way to us, much like sleep comes more easily when we stop trying so hard to catch it. Next, we delve into the intriguing concept of the backwards law, a paradoxical yet profound principle that suggests the more we chase after something, the more it eludes us, leading to greater disappointment. In simpler terms, the harder we strive, the less likely we are to succeed. Conversely, when we cease our relentless pursuit, what we desire often comes to us. Imagine trying not to think of a pink elephant. The key isn't to forcefully expel the thought, but to let the desire to banish it fade away, allowing the thought to naturally dissipate. But how does this counterintuitive law operate in real life? How can we attain our desires without actively pursuing them? This concept may seem absurd, especially in a society that values effort and determination. We're taught that willpower is essential for achieving external goals. For instance, amassing wealth typically requires concerted effort, just as preparing for a marathon demands rigorous training to build endurance. However, the backwards law isn't about these tangible achievements. It transcends them. It's about realizing our deepest, truest desires, offering a shortcut to what we're all ultimately seeking. Consider the words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca. It is not the man who has too little but the man who craves more that is poor. This aligns perfectly with the backwards law. It's not about the absence of effort, but about redefining our relationship with our goals. When we fixate less on the outcome and more on the process, we often find that what we seek arrives in unexpected ways. This law teaches us about the nature of desire and satisfaction. Our constant dissatisfaction stems from the relentless pursuit of what we think we want. By understanding and embracing this law, we can liberate ourselves from this cycle of unfulfillment. It's about finding contentment in the present, appreciating what we have, and understanding that sometimes the best way to achieve our goals is not to obsess over them. In essence, the backwards law is a call to reevaluate our approach to life's desires. It's not advocating for passivity or lack of ambition, but for a more mindful, less forceful pursuit of our goals. By doing so, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, where often the things we least chase come to us as if by magic. So next time you find yourself striving hard for something, remember, sometimes the best way to hold on is to let go. But what is it that we truly seek? Is it wealth, love, friendship, or a long and healthy life? While these things bring pleasure, they are mere shadows of what we genuinely desire. They represent our beliefs about the paths to our ultimate goals. However, the backwards law elucidates a paradox. The more we chase, the less we find. This relentless pursuit of external circumstances only distances us from our true desires. So, what is it that we yearn for? Is it happiness? And if so, what constitutes happiness? Can it be attained through love or material possessions? Alan Watts challenges our understanding, suggesting that we don't truly know what we want. He states, "Why don't you really know what you want?" 2 reasons that you don't really know what you want. Number 1, you have it. Number 2, you don't know yourself because you never can. The Godhead is never an object of its own knowledge. Just as a knife doesn't cut itself, fire doesn't burn itself, light doesn't illuminate itself. Could it be that our quest obscures what we seek? Are we in pursuit of something indefinable? This leads to the question, why do we continue this futile search? Our human condition is mired in a collective illusion, convincing us that acquiring external things or altering our circumstances, from possessions to physical changes to new environments, will fill the void we feel. The backwards law reveals a counterintuitive truth. Our sense of lack stems from our dissatisfaction with our current state. The more discontent we are, the more we suffer. The more change we believe we need to be happy, the less content we become. Consider the scenario where you aim to become a millionaire, believing this will bring happiness. This goal implies not only a strenuous journey to contentment, but also a current state of unhappiness, due to the recognition of how far you are from your desired state. As Mark Manson aptly puts it, pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. To add a Stoic perspective, consider the words of Seneca. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This aligns with the backwards law, suggesting that in our relentless pursuit of future happiness, we overlook the joy available in our present moments. In modern life, where the chase for more is incessant, this wisdom is particularly relevant. The advice here is to shift focus from relentless pursuit to appreciating what is currently within our grasp. It's about understanding that contentment often lies not in obtaining more but in valuing what we already have. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or desire, but recognizing that our happiness isn't solely contingent on external achievements or possessions. The backwards law teaches us a vital lesson about human desire and contentment. It's a call to introspection, to understand our true desires, and to find contentment in our present state. It's about realizing that the pursuit of happiness often leads us away from it, and that true contentment might already be within our reach, obscured only by our relentless search for it. In our relentless pursuit of wealth and success, we often find ourselves trapped in a paradoxical cycle. The more we yearn for riches, the poorer and more inadequate we feel, regardless of our actual financial status. This sentiment echoes the profound words, "The more you desperately want to be rich, the more poor and unworthy you feel, regardless of how much money you actually make." This cycle of increasing our happiness threshold only leads to deeper feelings of inadequacy and misery. Ironically, by setting our goals unreasonably high, we only deepen our sense of dissatisfaction. This human tendency to chase more as a remedy for our discontent while ironically perpetuating it seems counterintuitive. German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer delved into this conundrum. He believed that our desires stem from the will to live, an illogical, directionless force driving us towards a life of suffering, unquenchable by worldly offerings. This will makes us crave more than necessary, fueled by a perpetual sense of lack. We believe the present is insufficient, always seeking something elusive. Schopenhauer poignantly stated, "Thus also every keen pleasure is an error and an illusion, for no attained wish can give lasting satisfaction." Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests that the very act of striving prevents us from achieving what we seek. The key to contentment, he argued, lies in negating this will, leading to a state of blissful emptiness, free from desire. In essence, by ceasing our relentless pursuit, we might just attain what we've been seeking. This concept is mirrored in the story of a man who, by not hoarding, finds himself in abundance. He appears solitary yet is surrounded by many. He conducts himself with ease, wasting nothing, and laughs at those who are overly clever or ingenious. Despite his imperfect condition, he feels complete, contrasting sharply with the common pursuit of happiness. By letting go of our incessant need to acquire more, we might find true fulfillment. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or goals, but rather, reevaluating our relationship with desire and success. The advice for life improvement is clear: find contentment in the present, understand the futility of perpetual wanting, and embrace a state of being where less is more, and inaction can be the most powerful action of all. This mindset, though seemingly backwards, might just be the key to a more fulfilled and peaceful existence. In our journey through life, we often find ourselves caught in a paradoxical struggle, chasing after things we believe will complete us, only to discover that it's in the letting go that we truly find what we're seeking. This concept, known as the backwards law, teaches us a counterintuitive truth. Accept imperfection, and you'll feel perfect. Embrace solitude, and you'll find contentment in being alone. It's a reminder that striving for perfection often leads us to feel imperfect, and the more we try to escape loneliness, the more isolated we feel. Alan Watts, a renowned philosopher, beautifully encapsulated this idea when he said, "When you try to stay on the surface of the water, you sink, but when you try to sink, you float." This metaphor extends to various aspects of life. For instance, the harder you try to fall asleep, the more elusive sleep becomes. It's only when you stop trying that sleep naturally overtakes you. Similarly, when you grasp for breath, it feels fleeting, but when you let go, it flows effortlessly. This principle applies profoundly to our pursuit of happiness and wealth. When we cease the relentless chase for happiness, we often find it right where we are because we realize there's nothing more we need. The same goes for wealth. When we stop fixating on riches, we start living in abundance, appreciating what we have, and viewing anything extra as a bonus. The backwards law, therefore, teaches us a liberating truth. To have what we desire, we must first stop desiring it. A Zen story beautifully illustrates this paradox. Picture a pond with cloudy water. If you wish to see its floor, You might be tempted to stir the water or try to clear the cloudiness with your hands. However, these actions only disturb the water further. The key to seeing the pond's floor is to do nothing. Let the water settle, and the cloudiness will subside, revealing the floor. This story is a metaphor for our lives. The cloudiness represents our desires, our restless thoughts, and our dissatisfaction. Our attempts to clear it symbolize our futile efforts to grasp happiness. True contentment, akin to seeing the pond's floor, comes only when we stop stirring the water, allowing our desires and dissatisfaction to settle. Understanding the backwards law doesn't mean we should abandon setting goals, having ambitions, or seeking change. There are countless reasons to pursue change and not accept the status quo. However, this law teaches us not to be deceived by the notion that the pursuit of happiness inherently leads to happiness. In fact, it's often the opposite. With this knowledge, we can more frequently enter the blissful state of not wanting. As Stoic philosophers like Seneca taught, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This wisdom aligns with the backwards law, emphasizing the importance of living in the moment and finding joy in our current state, free from the relentless pursuit of what we don't have. In conclusion, as Alan Watts poignantly stated, the mystery of life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. This journey of life isn't about constantly seeking and solving, but rather about experiencing and embracing what is, in its imperfect, beautiful form. So let's navigate life with this newfound understanding, embracing the backwards law and finding contentment in the simplicity of being, rather than the complexity of seeking. Thank you for joining me on this enlightening journey.